Now, you said going to altar calls, preaching, and still had these, behaviors and issues that were rooted inside.
Yeah.
Can we talk a little bit about like the intersection of faith and mental health? Because there are moments where maybe I'm speaking and preaching and I'm like speaking against the spirit of depression or anxiety. In my mind, I'm thinking that in this moment, I could say something that inspires someone to move into therapy. I think I said, you got to call the lady. You know what I mean?
Yes.
I think people are waiting to get their full deliverance at the altar. And if they don't, they think there's something wrong with them. Whereas what I'm thinking to myself is if we could get it to rise to the surface where you want to go to war with what's going to war, with your ability to have a sound mind, with your ability to have peace, you may have to do the practical tools somewhere else, but maybe we can say something in this moment that gives you permission to move in that direction.
So I could talk to you for 17 hours straight. I was the one that was at the altar waiting for the magical moment.
Yeah.
And because I had been around some people that had those magical moments.
Right.
Then you're thinking, well, I'm at the pool of Bethesda and I just never get there when the water is troubled, right? And I realized, okay, for the vast majority of us, there's some people that come down to the altar and alcoholism, instantaneous, right? Like sexual abuse, like instantaneous deliverance. I never struggled with it again. I never thought about it again. And I'm like, I wish I was in your body because I wanted that too. I had to go do extra work, right? And so to me, for the vast majority of people, I believe God's power can work in a moment. And there's a process of sanctification that cannot be ignored. Right. For me, a great sermon simply opens up a can of worms.
Yeah. Oh, not closes it.
It opens it.
Yeah.
Right. Mm-hmm. Because now, especially when people are experiencing the ministry that God has entrusted to you, you went first, so now I'm going second, right? Mm-hmm. You share your testimony, you talk about the freedom, and then you exhort us to come out of it, right? Yeah. So now I'm at the altar, this can of worms has been popped open, and I need to sort them.
Yeah.
And then you got to look around and be like, who will I sort this with? Who do I go to? Do I have a trusted friend? Do I have a counselor? Do I have money for therapy, right? Like, where do I go from here? If they have that roadmap of where to go next, that's the win.
Yeah.
What I don't want people to do is just put the lid back over it until next Sunday.
Right.
Right? Because then we just the perpetual altar goer crier person, right? Mm-hmm. I have had many a days, I will not name churches. I've had many a week of seeing the same people come to the altar and you almost roll your eyes like, there she go.
Yeah.
There he go again, right? And it's like, we want to sort these worms. We don't want to play with them, mm-hmm. right? I don't want you to have a worm collection that you pop out every Sunday at the close of my message. I want you to be able to sort those, deal with them, so that you can move on with your life.
Do you think that as ministers and leaders that we have a responsibility? Like, how can we make that more clear for people?
Well, you can't take anybody to where you haven't been.
Yeah.
So I think there's a lot of pastors and ministers who haven't done the work. So their message isn't even trauma informed enough to guide people in that direction. I always give this illustration that Moses ran from Egypt after murdering somebody, went to the wilderness, got a word from God, went back to Egypt, and brought the people back to the wilderness because that was the last place he had been.
Yeah.
Joshua and Caleb go into the promised land, spy it out. 10 of their homies feel like they can't go, so they got to do laps in the wilderness. Moses strikes the rocks and dies. Joshua takes his place and takes the children of Israel where? To the promised land, which is the last place he had been. Jesus comes down from heaven, dies for our sins, ascends again. He's coming back again to take us where? Heaven, the last place he had been. So if you haven't been there, you can't guide anybody there. the most we get, Sarah, from some people is like general directions. Like, do you know where the mall is? I know it's
over there somewhere.
If you keep going east, like if you get off on 20,
right.
It's over there somewhere. And that's how some people's sermons are. Freedom is over there somewhere. I ain't been there, but I know we're supposed to be free, but I'm not.
Yeah.
So somewhere over there. And so our leaders need to do their work. Because if they do their work, then the roadmap becomes very, very easy.
When you said that there aren't enough pastors or leaders who are trauma-informed enough to even give those directions, I think it's also true that they didn't have to be, that they were serving a generation that didn't necessarily require that of them. And I think as we're seeing times change, that there's a generation, I mean, even if it's just social media, not to mention those who are actually going to therapy and doing the work, that there is this idea of integration.
That's right.
Like, how do I have a fully integrated faith?
Yeah.
And I think that that's what people want to know more now than they did back then from their leaders. Is like, okay, I hear what you're saying on Sunday, but like, how do I live that out Monday through Saturday?
Absolutely correct.
And what do you do when there are obstacles? And are you experiencing them yourselves? Because I almost don't trust you unless you've told me that you've had these experiences too. Like, in your years of ministry, like, how have you seen the evolution of the world and culture require something different from our methods in faith?
It's a very insightful question. I've watched the silent generation pass on their theology to the boomers, who passed it on to Gen X, who passed it on to Z's and alphas and B's, right? Because boomers gave birth to X's and millennials, right? Well, if the whole generation was called silent,
they said not a word.
The boomers didn't have a chance.
No.
They didn't say a mumbling word. They didn't say a mumbling word. So I have a lot of grace for a generation whose parents said nothing, right? And then our generation, like, reality TV was born on our watch.
For sure.
Real World, season 1, Pedro and Puck, like, that was on our watch, right? And that was unscripted reality,
like
television.
For real reality.
It was like,
television.
put a camera in the room, get them drunk, and see what happens, right? So we came up on that, and we were the ones that were like, well, I'm just going to tell you how I feel.
Yeah.
Because that's just who we are. The shift probably was around, it's not going to be precise, but maybe let's say 2010. Around 2010, things started to change where it was like, I'm going to need more than just, he gonna bring you out.
Yeah.
Did he bring you out?
Right. Wait a minute. Wait a minute.
I've heard this story about Lazarus coming up out of his grave. Did you come up out of our grave? And can you tell me which grave it was?
Right.
Like, where was your plot? Right? I want to see it for myself. So here's one of the thoughts that I synthesized after doing all this work. If we were simply, as communicators of the gospel, as honest about our stories as the stories we preach about, the congregation would be like, okay, you got me. Like, the only reason why I'm really down with Jesus outside of his blood, is because he was tempted in all points yet without sin. If I'm grateful for the Mount of Transfiguration, I am more grateful for the Garden of Gethsemane. If I don't have that episode, then that's a superhero. How do I know that you really can understand me if I don't know that moment exists for you? So I don't want to hide behind the text. Yes, I've told you about David. Now let me tell you about me. Yes, I've told you about Lazarus, but now let me tell you about me. And for those in the generation preceding us, some of them did that. And those were the revolutionary ones whose ministries exploded. But the ones that were vague, that were kind of hiding behind the text, like, this happened to David, but it never happened to me because I gave my life to Jesus when I was 19 and I've been perfect ever since. There was a disconnect, and a generation started looking for new voices after that.